Hi everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a brand new story to share with you, so let's begin. My name is Jackson, and I've been married to my wife, Mabel, for over 10 years. A whole decade together. You'd think after that long, we'd have built something unshakable. But that's not what happened. Instead, over the years, I watched our marriage slowly fall apart piece by piece, just quiet and steady, like a house rotting from the inside while still looking fine on the outside. Mabel is a smart, ambitious woman. She worked her way up in the corporate world, and now she holds a high-ranking position at one of the biggest companies in the country. I was always proud of her, always cheering her on, always there to support her. But as her career grew, our marriage started shrinking. At first, it was little things, less time together, conversations that felt shorter, moments that used to matter but started getting skipped. I told myself it was just a phase, that things would balance out. But they never did. Instead, they just got worse. When Mabel and I first got married, things were different. We used to talk for hours about everything and nothing at the same time. We had fun together, we made plans, and no matter how stressful life got, we always found a way to come back to each other. But now it feels like we're just two people managing a household. Every conversation is about bills, groceries, or whose turn it is to take care of something around the house. There's no laughter, no deep conversations, just responsibilities that need to be handled. I tried to ignore it at first. Every marriage has rough patches, right? But no matter what I did to bring back the connection, it was like hitting a brick wall. I planned date nights. She always had work. I suggested a weekend getaway. She said she was too busy. I tried to surprise her with small things, like her favorite food or little gifts, hoping she'd see that I was still trying. But she barely noticed, and if she did, she didn't care enough to acknowledge it. Whenever I reached out for intimacy, she always had a reason to turn me down. She was tired. She had a long day. She needed to wake up early. It got to a point where I stopped asking, because honestly, what was the point? Mabel wasn't the same woman I married. She used to be affectionate, warm, and present. Now it was like I was just another piece of furniture in the house, there, but unnoticed. Her job became her entire world, and I was just the person she happened to live with. It was like now that she had made it to the top, it felt like she had outgrown me. Despite everything, I held on. I convinced myself that one day she'd see what she was doing, and we'd find our way back to each other. So I stayed patient. I kept trying, even when I felt like I was the only one putting in effort. But as time passed, nothing changed. In fact, it got worse. And if I ever brought up how distant she had become, she would get defensive. At some point, I had to be honest with myself. If she cared, wouldn't she at least try? Wouldn't she make some effort, even if it was small? But no, accepting a marriage like this is hard to accept. One night, I decided to sit my wife, Mabel, down and ask her some questions I had been holding on to for so long, hoping that there was a simple answer, something that would explain why things had gotten this bad between us. I didn't want to start a fight. I just wanted the truth. Mabel, I said, looking straight into her eyes, have I ever offended you? She barely looked up from her phone. No, she answered flatly, like the question wasn't even worth her time. I continued, have I ever abused you? That made her pause for half a second. She sighed, irritated. No, Jackson. Of course not. Why are you asking me this? I let the silence hang between us for a moment. Then, finally, I asked the question that had been eating me alive for months. Why do you want to end this marriage? As soon as those words left my mouth, it was like I had flipped a switch inside her. Mabel's entire demeanor changed in an instant. What do you mean I want to end this marriage? She barked, her voice rising. Do I have to be your slave for you to feel comfortable as a man? Her words broke my heart, but I didn't react. I just sat there, watching as she unraveled, throwing accusations at me. She wasn't answering my question. She was dodging it. I should have been angry, but I wasn't. But more than anything, I just felt tired. What she didn't know, I had been recording everything. Every word. Every outburst. I had come prepared because deep down, I knew this conversation would turn into something ugly, and it did. After what felt like forever, Mabel had nothing left to yell about. She just stood up, huffed, and stormed out of the room, leaving me sitting there in silence. I didn't chase after her. I just sat there, numb, staring at the empty chair across from me. The next morning, I woke up to silence. Mabel didn't say a word to me. No good morning or casual small talk. I watched her move around the house, her face blank, like I wasn't even there. She didn't even glance in my direction as she got ready for work. It wasn't the first time she had been distant, but this time it was different. I just watched. That evening, I came home to the sound of laughter. Mabel had guests over, people from her office, judging by the way they spoke. This wasn't new. She often brought work colleagues home. As usual, I greeted them politely, nodding as I passed by, and went straight to the bedroom. After a while, I just wanted to grab something from the hallway and retreat into my own space. And that's when I heard Mabel's voice, light and cheerful. "Oh, him," she said, followed by a chuckle. "He's just my roommate." I froze. For a second, I thought I had misheard. Was she joking? The people around her were laughing too. To them, it made sense. I was just a man renting space in the house of a successful woman. Not a husband. Not a partner. Just a roommate. I felt embarrassed. I stood there, listening as they moved on to another topic, as if what she had just said was nothing. But it wasn't nothing. When she was building her career, I carried the financial weight of the household. I paid the bills. I made sure she had the freedom to chase her ambitions without worry. And yet, the moment she got ahead, I became invisible. Mabel didn't respect me. And without respect, there was nothing left. Right there, I made a decision. I wasn't going to fight for a place in her life anymore. I wasn't going to beg for the bare minimum of acknowledgement. I was done. That night, as Mabel slept, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. I had spent years trying to hold this marriage together, but I was the only one trying. Tonight, I made my final decision. I was done. I got up quietly and pulled a suitcase from a closet. I took only what I needed, clothes, my sketchbooks, and a few personal items. I didn't bother with anything else. As I packed, I looked at Mabel. She slept peacefully. I waited until morning. When the first light of day crept through the curtains, I grabbed my bag, took one last look around, and walked out. No notes. No goodbye. I was done explaining myself to someone who had stopped listening a long time ago. Mabel didn't even notice I was gone when she woke up that morning. That didn't surprise me. No text, no call, nothing. Just like every other day. It wasn't until the evening, when she came home, that she probably realized that I had been away. But when she finally did realize it, the calls started coming in one after another. My phone vibrated nonstop, her name flashing across the screen over and over again. I didn't answer. Instead, I typed out a single message. 10 words. I no longer wish to be your roommate. I hit send. Almost instantly, my phone vibrated again. Another call. Then another. Was it out of shock or out of fear? I do not know. Did she finally realize what she had lost? Whatever was going through her mind, I didn't care. I stared at the screen for a moment, then turned the phone face down on the table, without an ounce of emotion. 1 week after I walked out, I had my lawyer draft the divorce papers and send them to Mabel. I knew she would react, but even I wasn't prepared for how fast and how hard she lost it. Within hours of receiving the papers, my phone exploded with calls and messages. At first, she demanded to know if I was serious, as if my leaving the house in the dead of night wasn't already a clear enough sign. Then the messages shifted, pleading, bargaining, guilt-tripping. When I didn't respond, the real Mabel showed up. The anger, the entitlement, the complete refusal to take responsibility. But I knew what had really sent her into a spiral. It wasn't about losing me, not really. It was about the money. Mabel made significantly more than I did, and that had never bothered me. And now, in the divorce, that success was working against her. Because, in the eyes of the law, she was the higher earner. Which meant one thing. She would be paying me alimony. She was now legally obligated to support me financially after the divorce. She couldn't accept it. Mabel was furious, and she wasn't about to go down without a fight. So she did what manipulative people do. She tried to twist the story in her favor. She contested the divorce, dragging it into court, thinking she could paint me as the bad guy. She stood there, in front of a judge, throwing out every accusation she could think of. She said I was lazy, that I had no ambition, that I manipulated her into taking care of me. But there was one problem with her little performance. She had no evidence. That was the difference between us. She relied on lies and emotions, but I had the truth. And more importantly, I had proof. When my lawyer played the recording, the entire room fell silent. Mabel's own voice filled the courtroom. Angry, defensive, unfiltered. Every word was right there for the judge to hear. She admitted I had never abused her. She admitted I had never done anything to hurt her. And yet, there she was, screaming at me. The judge didn't have to say much. Anyone listening could hear the truth for themselves. It wasn't me who had destroyed our marriage. It was her. Her neglect, her disrespect, her manipulation. The final ruling came down, and just like that, it was over. The judge granted the divorce in my favor. And then came the part Mabel wasn't expecting, alimony. Because she earned more than me, she was now legally required to pay me. I could see the shock on her face. But what could she say? The law was the law. Now, let me be clear, I don't need her money. I've built my own life, my own career, and I'm doing just fine. But I'll take that alimony check with no hesitation. Not because I need it, but because it's a reminder. A reminder that she kept me in a loveless marriage for years while looking down on me. A reminder that actions have consequences. Some life lessons come with a price. And this one is hers to pay. People often don't realize what they have until it's gone. It's crazy how you can give someone everything. Your love, your loyalty, your time. And they still take you for granted. And the worst part? You don't even see it happening at first. It starts small, little moments of disrespect that you brush off, excuses you tell yourself to keep the peace. Until one day, you wake up and realize you're just a shadow in your own home. I learned a lot from this experience, and I hope somebody out there can take something from it too. Love isn't just about the words you say. It's about respect. It's about the actions that back up those words. If someone says they love you but treats you like you don't matter, then what does that love really mean? Nothing. And that's the hard truth. Now, I want to hear from you. What would you have done in my situation? Would you have stayed and kept trying, or would you have walked away like I did? Do you think I made the right choice? Drop a comment below and let me know. And if you found this story interesting, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. The story is out there now. Whatever people think, whatever they say, I know one thing for sure. I made the right decision for my peace of mind.